close your eyes, I know that your favorite jerk. I know that you like me, kiss me with your eyes closed, hate it when you find me, love it when I die slow. You just wanna find me, I can see your eyes glow, kill me in my white tee, baby let my blood flow, blood flow, blood flow. We just having fun though, now my blood flows, I can see the sun, oh, you're the one, no, looking for my love though, where my love go, baby where my gun go.
Picking shirts if you don't have a binder. Avoid long sleeves. For some reason, they make your chest more visible. Also avoid women's shirts if you can. They're usually much thinner. Avoid white too. Go for darker colors or tie-dye. Also try and get the shirts with thicker, more stiff fabric. Find shirts with big designs printed on the front in that sort of stiff material. They hide your chest really well. Button-up shirts and flannel are also a good idea too. In the summer I cut the sleeves off a few hoodies so I can still wear a hoodie without overheating.
Okay, so I got another tip for the transmasc, and it is to cut your own sleeveless t-shirts and don't buy them, because you can choose the length of the sleeves, which is good. So this used to be a long sleeve t-shirt, now it's not, as you can see, because I cut it so it hides my binder straps, so like you can't actually see them, which is good, so it doesn't like out you. And like the side bits, like you can hardly see the strap at all, and I'd say it looks pretty good. Hi guys, don't mind the wet hair. Y'all clearly like the last one, so here I am with part 2 of transmasc hygiene tips. So firstly, if you are someone who wears pads but does not like women's underwear, boy do I have the tip for you. Just get boxer briefs a size or 2 under. Also, if you like jewelry but it makes you feel dysphoric, just get simplistic, darker shades. For example, my favorite necklace at the moment. My rings are simplistic but effective. But this tip also applies to earrings. I used to avidly avoid earrings because I thought they made my face look too round and feminine, but then I got these bad boys and they're edgy enough that, you know, it doesn't really cause that much dysphoria. I hope you guys do this already, but use a washcloth in the shower. It exfoliates everything better. You can get more masculine looking ones too, I guess. Really helps with the back knee. Speaking of masculinizing your bathroom stuff, masculinize your bathroom if it makes you dysphoric. Like my bathroom generally follows a more gray aesthetic. Don't mind the change of scenery. If you struggle with sweat in your torso area because of your binder, I have 2 tips. I recommend using an antiperspirant / deodorant. I use an Old Spice one, I think in the scent Fiji. Or as someone mentioned in part 1, you can get a moisture wicking shirt and wear that and then the binder over it.
Bitches and hoes, bows and hoes, yeah, bitches and hoes, yeah. I said bitches and hoes, bitches and hoes don't exist because the hoes know bows are feminist. Bitches and hoes don't exist because the hoes know bows are feminist. So take off your bras and burn up. You can let me burn up. Take off your bras and burn them. Oh, you can let Bo burn them, burn them. Take off your bras and burn up. You can let me burn up. Take off your bras and burn them, burn them. You can let Bo burn them, burn them.
How I used to bind before I got a binder. First put on a loose, thin, and stretchy tank top like this. Fold it up over your chest like this. Use a hair tie to pull the tank top back and tie it so it has some compression. Loosen if it is uncomfortable at all. Over it like this one with no padding. Do not wear one that is smaller than your normal size. Make sure it is the correct size. Before.
Clinging to the atoms of rock. These trans men in case you need them. Use this lovely thing called a binder. If you don't have or can't get a binder, you can use 2 sports bras, one on forwards, one on backwards, and it'll bind okay. Get your hair cut. You can get a pixie cut or a more feminine cut if you're not out to your family. Get men's deodorant, like Old Spice or some other kind of manly scent. Men's shirts, if you can. They're cut for men, so they're going to make you look more masculine, especially with the shoulders. Boxers, and there's a lot of boxer brands that are aimed towards women, like Boxer. It's literally woman boxer. So if you don't want to come out, or your parents are transphobic, you can ask for boxers. Just say they're comfortable. Here's one that's more about passing, and less about alleviating dysphoria. But if you have like a more open, relaxed stance, you're gonna look more masculine than if you like stand like that or something. You know, just like open, relaxed stance, shoulders drop, chest out. You know how that is. Or you can hunch over if you're not wearing a binder and you're dysphoric. That works too. Know if y'all want a part 2, because I got a lot of these.
Top tips for staying safe while chest binding. Don't bind for longer than 8 hours. Take days off completely. Remain hydrated. Clean your binder and your skin regularly. Wear the correct size for your body. Stay cool and wear well-ventilated clothing. Only bind in items designed for binding and listen to your body. Stop if you're in pain. Happy binding.
Get ready with me, masculinizing my face.
I'm not your mommy, nigga. Find a new hobby, nigga. Return your phone, get picked up. Your shit's in the lobby, nigga. I'm not gon' kill your car. I'll call your fucking mom. You should've paid my rent. Go get a fucking job. 'Cause ain't shit come up in your bed.
Tips for trans guys, part 2. This will be very centered on physical appearance. As far as shirts go for men's shirts. This is a women's shirt. It kind of goes in a little bit. You get it. And this is a men's shirt. I feel a lot more comfortable in it. The sleeves are longer. The neckline is smaller, I guess. And it looks more feminine. Doesn't hug the figure as much. For necklaces, if you want to wear a necklace, I would go for one that has a cord. It just makes it look more masculine than one that has a chain, but honestly, men wear chains all the time. It just goes for whatever you prefer. Rings are another one of those things. I get kind of dysphoric about my hands, so I like wearing thicker and darker rings because they look more masculine, but honestly, you wear whatever rings you want. This one isn't exactly an easy fix, but work out. Upper body strength. It'll make your shoulders look broader and you'll look more masculine because men usually have more muscles than women. Although I do understand that working out is very hard and I don't have the patience for it and some people might not have the resources for it, but that's just an optional if you have a lot of free time. When talking about period products, go for ones that don't really have any sort of defining female characteristics to them, I guess. Some of them say, "You go, girl," and "You got this, girl." We don't like that. In this house, we like Tampax Pearl, because they don't have anything to do with gender on their packaging. I mean, you don't have to get the same that I do, but you know, if you do have pads or tampons or something that does have something definingly feminine about it, just ask for another brand. Hopefully, whoever purchases your period products will be okay with you trying another brand. You don't have to tell them that it's because, you know, you don't like the "You go, girl" on it. Those are all the tips I have for this part, but reminder that you are a boy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I hope you have a good day.
Hey guys, I'm doing trans tips for FDM. Even though I don't have facial hair, I like to shave just for dysphoria. Try not to wear clothes that like cling to your body a lot. Bandages, please do not try to bind with bandages. It does not work. For when you're at the beach, I like to wear a towel just to cover my chest and around my shoulders. Don't wear the shirt though, don't wear the shirt, just a towel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day.
Here are 4 gender-affirming style tips for trans men. To reduce the appearance of curvy hips and thighs, you want to opt for a flat front pant with a straight leg. And although I do really like pleats, they do tend to emphasize curves and any sort of hippiness that you might have. Same thing for slim or tapered pants. Sometimes they can cling too heavily to your ankle, which will just further emphasize curvy hips. Whereas a straight leg creates a nice clean line from the waist to the ankles. Tip number 2 is to stick to woven fabrics. Woven fabrics tend to drape and skim the body in a really flattering manner, whereas knits tend to emphasize every lump and bump. Twill, broadcloth, and Oxford cloth are all great woven fabrics that can suit any type of body. Tip number 3 is to embrace an overlayer. A lightweight outer layer, such as a shirt jacket or a chore jacket, is a great way to add a visual bulk to the top half of your body, while also concealing parts of your body that maybe you don't want to emphasize. Tip number 4 is to not feel bound to the men's section. I know that this might sound a bit counterintuitive, but ultimately you want to find pieces of clothing that fit your body in a way that makes you feel comfortable. And since some of these items might not live in the men's section, explore the women's section and even the kids section to find items that are going to suit your body best.
I have rapped in a program I did, a Weird Weekends episode about rap.
Can you remember any of the rap that you did?
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me wanna dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat.
Naughty boys in nasty schools, headmasters breaking all the rules, having fun and playing pool, smashing up the woodwork tools. All the teachers in the pub, passing round a ready rap, trying not to think of when that lunchtime bell will ring again. Oh, what fun we had, but did it really turn out bad? All I learned at school was how to set not break the rules. Oh, what fun we had, but at the time it seemed so bad, trying different ways to make a difference too. The headmasters had enough today, all the kids have gone away, gone to fight them next to school. Every turn that is the
Okay, so I got another tip for the transmasc, and it is high collared shirts. So like, as you can see, you can't see my binder. Whereas like if it was lower, you'd be able to see like the side bits. So they're good for like if you're going stealth.
Hello transmascs, I'm going to show you how to masculinize your face with makeup. And Alice is here. You're going to want to sit in a well-lit area so you can see your face with the light hitting straight on, and I like to put my hair up so that it's out of the way. I like to always start with a primer all over my face so that the makeup will stay, and as you're putting on primer, feel for where your cheekbones are and where your jaw is. Knowing this is going to help you apply the makeup. Now, the main tip with masculinization of your face is accentuating and deepening the shadows and minimizing the highlights. I'm using the NYX contour highlight stick in light medium because I'm really pale, but you can use a cream or a powder. I like to use a cream and go over it with powder to really deepen the shapes. I've applied to one side of the face and now I'll explain on the other side. So you want to go right under your cheekbone, about from the ear, diagonally straight out, and then stop right about where your cheeks start to form and draw a line straight down. And then the jaw, see that natural shadow? You kind of want to go right under that shadow. Don't go all the way. You want to leave a little gap for some natural highlight, and then a little bit under the chin. Another important element is creating a shadow in the inner corner of your eye. So from the eyebrow right to where the nose bridge, and you can contour your nose. I'm not going to be showing that. And then you want to put shadow in the temple, this part right off of your eye, and a little bit up onto the forehead. And now we blend. I've blended this side, now I'll show you how to blend. So with this part, you want to blend down. You're really just pulling the makeup down, and this is easily done with a brush. And on this side, you're pulling in. You don't want to go out of the lines you've created. And then for the jaw, pulling it down, going back and forth and down, back and forth and down. Make sure you really pull up into the ear and the hairline. And then with this as well, you want to like pull it into your hairline to kind of blend it so there's not like a line where your hair began. And for this, just kind of put it in the hollow of your eye. Now you can already see after blending, my face looks a lot more masculine and the angles are a lot more pronounced. I will be finishing this in a part 2. I know, part 2, but I promise it'll be worth it. Feel free to watch that if you'd like to see how I finish this up. This is part 2 of how to masculinize your face with makeup. So where we left off, all of the cream contour has been applied and we blended, and now it's time to add powder. I like to use a bronzer and we're just setting everything in place. The goal is to just cover all the work we did so that it stays. I'm going to leave that powder to sit. It is a little intense now. I'm going to focus on the eyebrows and then we'll come back and blend that out after. For eyebrows, I use a combo of a eyebrow pencil and a gel mascara to go over the top. I did this eyebrow and as you can see, it's a lot thicker, but it still looks very natural. So the first step, I like to comb out the brow and really just push everything upward and out so it's spread out. And then going in with the pencil, you want to follow just under the bottom line and just above the top to thicken the brow. And we're not trying to create a defined shape, we're just trying to fill it in and thicken. So on this inner corner, I like to make a little box shape, just whoop, 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 whoop. But we're going to blend it out so that it's not so defined. If you don't have a gel, you can just brush it out now, but if you do have a gel, you take the brow mascara and really just push it through all of the hairs. This thickens and darkens, and see how I move up to kind of separate and fluff up the brow. And then wipe any excess makeup. And notice that the ends don't need to be super defined. Masculine brows are messy, they're undone, they're natural. Of course, this is personal preference, but this is what I found works for my face. Next, I like to put a little bit of bronzer or a dark eyeshadow under the eye to accentuate the eye bags. So you just take a eyeshadow brush and you just want to run it right under the lower lash line. And I have naturally dark circles, accentuate those bad boys. Put the shadow on it, kind of bring it out on both sides, just essentially a big bag. Now we want to blend and set everything. I like to use a loose natural powder to put all over the rest of the face. This is optional, but regardless, you want to go over, look where it looks too harsh, too unnatural, and blend it out a bit. Because we want this to look like our natural face. I'm leaving it kind of heavy now because throughout the day it will like fall off. And finally, a setting spray to help it stay throughout the day. And let that dry. And there we are with the hair down, the makeup done, outfit you like, and confidence. You can look masculine. So if you have any questions or you need some clarification, please comment. I will help as many of you as I can. You got this.